they're noble again.
Okay, I've got you on video. What's your name?
Mike Jarman,
How do you spell your last name?
Jarman.
All right. Are you here?
Really love my two daughters who've been forcibly displaced from me, and I am passionate about exposing this corruption in Utah and across the country.
And you've been here how many days in a row?
About 45.
45 days you've been a witness to the Utah State Legislature
Yeah.
in session. You've been trying to write to them, text them, give them flyers.
Yeah, I've delivered different versions, different packets, different materials, handed them to them personally, reached out to their interns, and
What is the message you're trying to get them to pay attention to?
they need to understand that forgeries in local courthouses across the country are allowing organized crime to commit human trafficking through local courthouses and to keep it all hidden.
And there's a connection to the federal government.
Yeah, well, there's good parts of the federal government and there's bad parts, but the good parts created subsidies worth billions of dollars, and these subsidies have been around for 10, 20, 30, 40 years, and parts of the states in these different layers have learned how to target and exploit those subsidies to steal billions of dollars from them.
So you have theft.
Yeah, and
billions.
they do that by monetizing children, forcibly removing children, forcibly displacing children from homes, and then eliminating parents one by one. They have different mechanisms, and one thing I've learned that the reason why these reports, not just in Utah but around the country, never get anywhere is because these layers of corruption are so deep that they're actually at war with each other. And so when you submit a report, rather than doing something about it, they use it for leverage, for bribery and blackmail on whoever they're going against.
Wow, you talked about the different levels, the good government, the not so, and can you say about that?
Well, yeah, to me, it seems that there's so many of these patterns that you've got the good parts of the federal government, the bad parts or the incompetent parts, and then you get into where you've got the deep state and then the deeper state. And then here in Utah, there is deep state Utah, which goes back 200 years to connections to dark parts of the federal government and beyond. And all these layers have fractured. They may have had leadership decades ago, but they don't seem to have leadership now.
Yeah.
And it seems that they've all fractured and that they're literally all at war with each other just to steal as much as they can from the good parts of the federal government.
Okay, so parasitic corruption.
Yeah.
And all the people you reached out to, did you hear back from anyone? Any good connections?
I have been, for 7 years, they've been saying that I'm going to kill my kids.
Oh my gosh.
But the only ones who have been trying to kill my kids is them. And I've learned that is what they do. They exploit, they blame, and then they eliminate. And that's how they get away with this. And so I have, for the past 7 years, I have sent emails, I've written letters, I've made posts, I've had thousands of followers on TikTok and social media, and then been shadow banned. I've delivered letters and reports in person to every imaginable state office. I've had attorneys take tens of thousands of dollars from me and leave me hanging because they're just in on it. And
Oh no.
I've mailed letters to DC. I've mailed letters to people outside of the U.S.
Yeah.
And the only people who've ever supported me in this is my mailman and one guy here who's an usher who wears one of the green coats. He was in tears after I spoke in a committee meeting, and he's there's been like 2 people actually say, hey, I know what's happening and you're right and we'll figure it out. But on top of that, other states, people have made documentaries, books have been written. There's one called In the Worst Interest of the Child.
Oh.
It exposes more parts of the AFCC, which is one of the private associations that is driving this not just in the U.S., but in the UK and Australia as well.
Wow, so you're talking about, we talk about sex trafficking, but you're talking about targeting parents for elimination to steal kids, monetizing kids,
Well, and that
using the
seems-
law, weaponized lawfare.
Yeah, it is. It's weaponized lawfare, and that seems what happens is these subsidies that were well-intending in the beginning have become exploited, and then these different layers, after they monetize the children, forcibly displace the children, then other layers kind of move in and take over, and that's where it goes from human trafficking in courthouses to all the other terrors of child trafficking, child sex trafficking, child labor trafficking, ritual sexual abuse, drug testing on foster kids.
Yeah.
And then there's even life insurance schemes where some of these crippled
Organized
and
crime.
severely disabled foster kids, people adopt them for the purpose of letting them die so they can collect $1 million life insurance policy.
Oh, that's terrible.
As their adopted
Fraud.
parents.
Yeah, so much fraud. Thank you for your diligence to attempt to expose this. You stand not just for yourself, but so many fathers out there who are targeted and don't have access to their kids. They're blamed and scapegoated, and it's really toxic and horrific. So we talked about some ideas of coming back here again and seeing if we can have an impact going forward. But thank you for all you're doing to try to have a voice.
Well, thank you. And I'm just one of many parents, fathers, and mothers in Utah, across the country. There are untold millions of parents and kids who haven't survived, but through the good parts of social media, more parents are finding each other and finding ways to survive before they get shadow banned.
Yes, like you did.
Right, and then people like yourself who are finding ways to elevate and carry the message.
Yeah.
So it's, enough can't be said about your efforts.
Thank you.
And what you're doing.
Trying to do grassroots justice because it's not going to come top down. It's got to come bottom up.
Right.
We have to take our justice back.
Right.
Let the truth prevail. Okay, well, I'll put your contact information, and thank you so much.
Yeah, and because I get shadow banned on social media, I just use Linktree a lot now.
Okay.
And so there's Linktree Operation Walkout. Well, linktree.com/Operation Walkout.
Okay.
And my phone number, my contacts there, and all that stuff. Anyone, it's there. People use it. It's free, and there's a lot of resources and templates and other good stuff there. And
Wonderful.
so just keep being bright and know that the future is better than bright as we keep this up.
Right on. Thank you so much.
Thanks.